Today we're discussing why and how Rec Room failed. Let's get into it. Now, Rec Room announced in an article titled Rec Room Finances and UGC Revenue the following info. They take 30 cents for every dollar creators sell. They have a strong balance sheet but are spending too much money. And they report 70% UGC revenue growth in July 2025. Along with this, there are a bunch of other info that I'm not going to get into. Now, the first point they mention is by far the most damaging. Taking 30% of the revenue from creators sold products is a criminally small portion. Borderline charity work. Now, if we compare this to its main competitor, VRChat, they take 50% of the revenue from creator UGCs. Now, the part that I found very weird is if they're taking so little revenue, how are their UGC revenue numbers pulling 70% revenue growth at all? Could this be because their revenue was already at rock bottom? Probably yeah, if I'm gonna be honest. They don't give us exact numbers, but what we do know is that it clearly wasn't sustainable to begin with, given the fact that in another post on the Rec Room creator forum, it states that, quote, Rec Room has never been profitable. We consistently spend more than we earn, which highlights that they clearly weren't getting anywhere when it came to actual profitability. Which brings us to the section I like to call Rec Room couldn't generate enough money to actually sustain 150 million players. The revenue just simply wasn't enough to keep servers of that size running, something that they would mention in that article mentioned earlier. They also stated that they overhired on staff, causing a massive round of layoffs resulting in a loss of, many sources state, half of the company's staff in a desperate attempt to save their margins. Throughout 2021 to 2022, a subreddit called If You Were to Describe Rec Room in 20 Words, or something like that, would feature dozens of comments describing Rec Room like this, or perhaps this. As you can see, people were definitely very thrilled about the shape the game was taking. Spoiler, they definitely weren't, but you know. These comments were posted near and around the broad rise in VR sector at the height of the pandemic, which had been going on for nearly 1 to 2 years at this point. This caused a massive rise not only in Rec Room, but across the whole VR industry as a whole, especially in games like Pavlov VR and our beloved VRChat. As you can see in some of these comments, the problem was that most of these new players were kids. Thus, the veteran community would be in for a rather awesome time listening to them blabber about their incessant bullshit. This, to no one's surprise, would cause many players to leave Rec Room in favor of other social VR games like our aforementioned beloved. I made this joke in a previous video, I know. Now, it's not like it really mattered. It's not like people were paying for Rec Room's paid features anyways. Rec Room failed because 1, it was simply unsustainable as a business, as they would prioritize their 150 million player milestone without a clear plan for profitability, which meant that they couldn't pay for new servers, they couldn't pay their employees, and they couldn't pay back their investors. Secondly, they were willing to spend millions without a clear method of getting that money back. And 3, in pursuit of profitability, they would repeatedly throw community needs to the wayside and ignore the ongoing issues with the game, leading to growing community frustration, which would never truly go away throughout its entire lifespan. If lessons can be learned from this honestly rather unfortunate event, if other games can perhaps look back on its history and determine how to shift their own trajectory, and if our VRChat might face a similar, rather unfortunate fate, all remains to be seen. I'm your host, Just Fjarn, bringing you the reasons why Rec Room would ultimately fail. And until next time, we mourn the loss of one of VR's biggest giants.